Salman Rushdie is both celebrated and controversial. He's lived a large part of his life in hiding or in exile due to his work, The Satanic Verses. However, his most notable work has been Midnight's Children. For a man born 2 months before India's independence, it got him the Booker Prize. Take a look at Salman Rushdie's life and work.
This idea that our real life begins after we die, and that this is just a step on the way to that.
Right.
Very dangerous idea because it makes human life very cheap.
Sir Salman Rushdie, a man whose words have created a literary storm for over 5 decades, who's both a celebrated author and a controversial writer, who has loyal fans and staunch critics. Years of exile and hiding have marked British Indian author Rushdie's life. This after a FATWA or a decree was issued against him in 1989 by the then Supreme Leader of Iran, Ayatollah Khomeini, over his book, The Satanic Verses. There was a bounty announced for his head. The British government had to provide police protection.
If people in India had not cared for it, then it doesn't matter how many Booker Prizes.
Frankly, if I can make it...
Yeah, I mean, I've had a number of people come to me saying, where's the bad bit?
India was one of the first to ban the Satanic Verses, the country of his birth. He was born in Mumbai 2 months before India's independence. He was 14 years old when he was sent to England to study further and subsequently became a British citizen. He pursued advertising and worked as a copywriter. Along with that, he also kept writing novels. He worked as an actor for some time as well. While the Satanic Verses ended up making him controversial, his much acclaimed Midnight's Children in 1981 won him the Booker Prize. Over 5 million copies of the novel were sold.
My father's family was an old Delhi family.
Yes.
My parents, as I say, they moved from Delhi to Bombay just before like the year before I was born. So I never actually lived, in my childhood I never lived in Old Delhi, but it was where my father's family was from.
Right. And you speak so fondly of your father in your book.
There were difficulties in my relationship with my father. He taught me not to believe in religion, but he had enormous scholarly interest. Particularly in the history of Islam, actually, which then he handed down to me.
There was also an uproar over his book, The Moor's Last Sigh, and fringe Hindu elements blocked the sale of copies in Maharashtra. Many believed a character in the novel depicted Bal Thackeray. Rushdie wrote to Narasimha Rao during that period. NDTV has learned that this communication also set the ball rolling for Rushdie to get a visa to India after almost a decade-long exile in 1999. It was also around the same time, in 1998, that Iran withdrew the fatwa against him. But despite decades having passed, the shadow of the past has harmed Rushdie and the literary world in a shocking and horrifying manner. With Rohit Vishwakarma, Maha Siddiqui for NDTV.